Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Aspark Owl at Golden Max in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. This car was recently featured in the Ride the Lightning multiplayer season, so I figured I would give it a shot and see how it is in multiplayer compared to some of the other cars in this season, and give my thoughts on how it might be against some of the other cars in a normal multiplayer season. First of all, the biggest thing that most people are going to notice about this car is that it has the new fastest acceleration in the game. You'll be able to get ahead of pretty much everybody at the beginning of a race with this car. Also, that really fast acceleration means that after a wreck or after a turn where you have to slow down a lot, you can get up to speed very quickly. Another thing that you'll probably notice about this car is that its nitro efficiency is not very good. It is the second worst in Class S, only behind the TRION Nemesis. However, this is not actually as bad as it might be on some cars because of two reasons. One, its handling is good, so it doesn't lose as much speed around the turns and the curves, but also because of the better acceleration, the shockwave not lasting very long is generally still enough to get it up to its top speed around turns. Like you can see here, I didn't actually lose very much because of the handling, and with the great acceleration, sometimes I don't even have to use the whole shockwave, and I'm still almost up to my whole top speed. So in many ways, I feel like this car is sort of a cousin to both the TRION Nemesis and the RIMAC for a couple of different reasons. The TRION Nemesis in just its ability to keep a really good speed without having the greatest nitro efficiency, and the RIMAC because it is a little bit slower than the rest of the high-end S-Class cars, but it still has very good acceleration, and because of that, it's able to do quite well still. So those are the two cars that I would probably most pair this one to, and I'd say in terms of the driving dynamics, it's somewhere in the middle too. A couple of weeks ago, I made a video showing this car in the Max test drive, so if you want to see even more footage of this car Max, I would definitely recommend checking that out. But I'm sure most of you guys have played it in the season, and so I guess one reason I like making those videos ahead of the multiplayer seasons is just so you get a chance to see what they're like ahead of testing it out and ahead of the event, so you can make a more informed decision ahead of time whether or not it's a car you really want to go for, and whether or not it's one that's likely to do really good in multiplayer too. Now, in this season, this car did exceptionally well. It is better than all of the other cars in the multiplayer season. The Huera and the Zenvo were both also very good. I was able to beat a lot of Asparks in them, but I would say overall, yes, this car was the best one. And speaking of the Huera, I did 6-star my Huera today actually, and so likely I'll be making a video about that. I was tempted to make a video in the Ride the Lightning season, but I don't think that would be as good of a test as playing it in the normal multiplayer season, which is always what I prioritize when I can. I also have tested the Zenvo. I'm getting close to 5 stars on that car. The only thing I'm really worried about there is that Gameloft is going to change up the multiplayer rewards before I'm able to max it. Thankfully, they didn't do that with the Fenner. I was able to get the Fenner to max through multiplayer. And then this one, though, the Zenvo, is one of the Fenner's biggest competitors, so it'd be really cool to be able to get them both to max, so we'll see if I'm able to do that. I've been able to get to Legend League a lot more recently because the multiplayer seasons have been a lot more fun to me. It hasn't been as grueling to get to Legend League, which is one thing that I had always not liked about them in the past, and why oftentimes I never really tried too hard to get there, whereas I did try harder in some of the secondary multiplayer seasons. But now, most of the multiplayer is just a lot of fun, and so definitely I'm going to be trying to get to Legend League more often. I got to Legend League before my past stream, which you can check the archive of on my channel if you missed it, so that I'd be able to use any kinds of S-Class cars in multiplayer. Another car that I would like to make a video about, probably pretty soon, is my 5-star Bugatti Chiron. In the current season that's going on right now, the Ghost Slipstream season will be perfect for that. So again, I will be sure to get to Legend League in this season too. In my previous video, I had mentioned that you also needed to own not only the Neo, but also the Corvette C8 in order to complete the Aspark Owl special event. But I was told that this isn't actually the case, that you don't actually have to own that car in order to complete the event. So I'm not entirely sure what's true there. Let me know down in the comments if you've gotten that far in the event or you just know for sure. I mean, it wouldn't really affect me because I'm not going to be going for this car anyway, but I always like to have the most accurate information in my videos that I can. Both times I have played on this track in this video, something weird has happened at that point. This time, unfortunately, I do not make it quite to that ramp just right. It looks like somebody else ran into the same problem. Then this other guy comes flying up on me at the very last second. This is a Zenvo, by the way, which is pretty much, in terms of just top speed, about as fast as me, and almost passes me around the final turn. Thankfully, I'm able to shockwave just before he hits me, so I don't get knocked down and I come in first place. But that was probably the closest race, or one of the closest races that I had in the season. Now, the Aspark Owl also came out in Asphalt 8 a little while back, before it came out in Asphalt 9, a few months ago, I think. I'm not entirely sure when, but I did manage to get it in its festival because it wasn't a very difficult festival. Definitely a lot easier to get this car in Asphalt 8 than in Asphalt 9. And I decided, you know, since I'm probably not going to be making a whole video about it, I'll just play a race in it at the end of this video. So I'm going to be doing that so you can see how it performs in that game. And I think I figured out why it's so much easier to get in Asphalt 8 than in Asphalt 9. So now I guess it's time for me to give my general review about this car. It's honestly one of the most fun cars that I've driven in a little while. I love any car that feels like the TRION Nemesis, and this car definitely did that for me. It's got the best acceleration in the game. It's got very good handling and drifting. The top speed is also above average, while not being the very best. Its biggest weakness is definitely its way below average nitro efficiency, one of the worst in its class, but even this doesn't really come into play all that often because of the good acceleration. However, in this race, it would have been nice to have a bit better acceleration so I wouldn't be going so slow for as long without it, but still, 4 Legions United members got the top 4 spots in that race, so that was pretty interesting. And now we're on to my Asphalt 8 Aspark Owl, which I didn't manage to get any kit cards for in its festival, so I will be testing it at stock, 1688 rank, which, as you might be able to imagine, isn't really going to be the greatest. The problem is this car only goes about 260 at this rank, and most of the cars I'm going to be facing, like Tuatars or Bugattis, can go at least 20 miles per hour faster than me. So I tried knocking this guy down here, but he was going so much faster that he just pulled on ahead and evaded the knockdown because I was not fast enough to keep up with him. And get this, there's a Bugatti ahead of me as well. Both of these Bugattis are actually unboosted. Yeah, I'm triple boosted at this point. And so this car at stock in this game is no good. Don't try it in multiplayer. I think this was one of the events where you had to spend real money in order to get the better rewards, which gave you most of the kit cards, which I, of course, did not do. So this car is kind of useless in this game unless you spend money or you're able to get a bunch of kit cards for this car otherwise. Whereas the one in Asphalt 9 is still probably going to be a decent multiplayer car, even at lower stars, because of the good acceleration, because its speed is already still pretty good. And so that is why it's a lot harder to get in Asphalt 9 than in Asphalt 8, at least in my mind. And although we do take the shorter route here, we still come in second place to this unboosted Bugatti. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!